It is chaos on Capitol Hill right now, and a special kind of chaos this time. House lawmakers are getting set and ready to vote on whether or not to oust Kevin McCarthy as Speaker at some point today, or if he will be able to narrowly avoid that fate. He's facing a small but determined revolt amongst his own party, led by Republican Congressman Matt Gaetz. Here's McCarthy just last hour.
If you throw a speaker out that has 99% of their conference, that kept government open and paid the troops, I think we're in a really bad place for how we're going to run Congress.
So are you expecting? And while this chaos plays out, it's really basically paralyzed on the House side. We have team coverage on Capitol Hill. CNN's Manu Raju and Lauren Fox joining me. Manu, you've been tracking Republicans this morning. What is happening right now?
Yeah, Speaker McCarthy is making very clear that he's planning to have this vote this afternoon. The first vote will be a procedural vote, aiming to stop Matt Gaetz' motion to ousting him from the speakership. But there's a problem, Kate. He does not have the votes to win, in large part because of at least more than 5 Republicans are expected to vote against him, against the speaker, on this procedural vote. And the expectation is Democrats will join those Republican detractors. McCarthy recognizing that he could potentially lose that procedural vote. Then they will move into what will be a historic vote on the House floor. It could happen today, it could happen tomorrow, to vacate the speakership, something that has never happened in the history of this country. Could happen as soon as today, and McCarthy is at risk of losing that vote. And if he does lose that vote, that is where things get incredibly tricky. McCarthy at the moment indicating that he plans to fight this out on the House floor. He could very well be a candidate in a new speaker's race. But in order to elect a speaker, you need 218 votes. And at the moment, nobody has 218 votes, especially if McCarthy continues to put himself up for the speakership. And if Democrats don't, at the end of the day, save him, something they don't seem to have much appetite for doing at the moment. But this has huge significance, because if there's no speaker, the House cannot act, and Congress is paralyzed, essentially putting this institution and the efforts to make law in a complete paralysis. In talking to Republicans this morning, there is enormous frustration with Congressman Matt Gaetz, the leader of this effort to push out Kevin McCarthy, and blunt warnings from a number of Republicans that going ahead could cost them their majority.
The only word I can describe for that is he's either a fool or a liar.
I think Matt Gaetz is a chaos agent.
And I don't have tolerance for some pseudo-psycho-political fetish.
I'm telling you, it definitely puts the majority in jeopardy when you see disunity.
I think it's sending a terrible signal to the electorate in advance of the 24 election that this Republican majority cannot govern itself, and we need to change that.
Do you worry that it could cost you the majority? Could it cost you the majority?
Could. Sure could.
And that is a real fear right now, that even though McCarthy has an overwhelming amount of support within the conference, he does not have enough support among Republican votes alone to move ahead. And there's been some talk, Kate, about a possible power-sharing deal with Democrats. Perhaps that could save McCarthy and win over Democratic support. McCarthy, though, just moments ago, earlier this morning, rejected that possibility when I asked him about it. Okay.
Yeah, moments ago, it could be very different in conversation moments from now with how things are going over there with Republicans right now. Manu's on top of it. Manu, thank you so much. Let's get over to Lauren Fox right now. Lauren, what are you hearing from Democrats over there?
Yeah, their meeting's still ongoing. You're starting to see a couple of members trickle out of this. But one thing to keep in mind here, they brought in some extra food. They brought in lunch. That means that they could continue this meeting for even longer. But let me take you inside the room. A number of Democrats that we have spoken to who have left this meeting said member after member that went to the mics made clear that there is not a lot of trust for House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. Here's what Richie Neal said.
But I think it's safe to say there's not a lot of goodwill in that room for Kevin McCarthy.
Is there any reason to keep Kevin McCarthy?
All of the conversation in there, if there's a central part of the focus, it's lacking trust in Kevin McCarthy.
And Diane DeGette, she left this room, another Democratic member. We asked her if she wanted to make any announcements about what Democrats have decided about McCarthy's future, how they would vote on a procedural vote later this afternoon. She said she wants Leader Jeffries to talk to the press. She wants Leader Jeffries to be the one to come out. But she said over and over again in that room, it became very clear that Democrats feel disrespected by McCarthy. They feel like he has breached multiple agreements that he's entered into with the president and with their colleagues. So obviously, things are moving very quickly in there. And the takeaway from Democrats, not a lot of goodwill for McCarthy.